footage has emerged proving WNBA referees definitely have an agenda against Caitlin Clark in the Indiana.
Fresh footage just dropped showing WNBA referees completely ignoring Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in the most disrespectful way possible. The video evidence is so damning that even casual fans are calling for these refs to be fired immediately. This isn't just bad officiating anymore. This is straight-up corruption caught on camera, and the league can't hide from it. What's the most blatant example of referee bias you've witnessed in sports?
Some controversy on that last play, no doubt about it. In my opinion, it looked like Natasha Cloud probably fouled her. It was not called. The referees love to swallow.
The footage that surfaced shows something so outrageous that it makes you question whether these referees should even be allowed near a basketball court.
See on the last play from Caitlin, and then on top of that, what do you think of your team play game execution?
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing,
Let alone officiate professional games. We're talking about 3 grown men in striped shirts literally turning their backs on Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and the entire Fever bench while they're trying to get their attention about obvious missed calls. Before we get into that smoking gun evidence, let's talk about what led up to this moment. The Fever walked into that game knowing they had to deal with more than just the Liberty's defense. They had to overcome what's becoming a disturbing pattern of officiating that seems designed to keep Clark and her team from succeeding.
The refs messed up 3 calls in the last 3 possessions of this game. First, Duana Bonner gets absolutely destroyed, no call. And then Sabrina Ionescu makes the contact. And this is the worst one. There's 1 foul. There's 2 fouls. Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm.
The future. The numbers don't lie, and they're absolutely staggering. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy isn't just bad luck. It's statistical impossibility when you're attacking the rim as aggressively as the Fever were that night. Even Stephanie White, who's usually diplomatic about these things, couldn't hide her frustration anymore.
How did you see the foul that was not called, or a lack of foul, on the Bonner play, and then follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul?
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path.
White's post-game comments were telling. She didn't just mention the free throw discrepancy. She called it egregious and said the disrespect toward their team has been pretty unbelievable. When a professional coach starts using words like that, things have gone beyond the normal ebb and flow of officiating mistakes. Here's what makes this whole situation even more maddening. The WNBA spent the entire offseason promising better officiating. They brought in assessment programs, talked about accountability, and made grand statements about improving the quality of calls. Kathy Engelbert herself made it clear that referees would be held to higher standards this season. So where exactly are those higher standards? Because what we witnessed wasn't just subpar officiating. It was officiating so biased that my 4-year-old nephew could spot the problems from across the room. And trust me, he's more interested in cartoons than basketball most days. The most damning piece of evidence came in the form of video footage that a fan captured during a crucial moment in the game, while the Fever players were desperately trying to communicate with the referees about missed calls. All 3 officials made a conscious decision to turn their backs and ignore them completely. Not one of them, not 2 of them. All 3 referees simultaneously decided that Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull weren't worth acknowledging. That's not accidental. That's not a momentary lapse in judgment. That's a coordinated effort to disrespect professional athletes who were simply trying to understand why obvious fouls weren't being called. The visual is shocking when you see it. Picture 3 professional referees, paid to maintain the integrity of the game, literally turning their backs on players who are trying to have a respectful conversation about calls. It's the kind of behavior you'd expect from middle school referees having a bad day. Not from officials working the premier women's basketball league in the world. But the disrespect didn't stop there. Throughout the game, we saw example after example of contact that would normally result in foul calls being completely ignored when it involved Fever players. Reaching fouls that were so obvious that replay showed hands clearly grabbing jerseys and arms when uncalled. Physical contact in the paint that would send other players to the free throw line was treated like normal basketball when it happened to Clark and her teammates. The most egregious example came at the end of the game during a crucial possession. With 1 second left on the clock, Clark was trying to get open for a potential game-winning shot. The footage shows her being grabbed, held, and impeded in ways that would result in flagrant fouls in any fairly officiated game. Instead, the referees swallowed their whistles and let New York escape with a win they didn't earn. What makes this particularly infuriating is that these same referees had no problem calling ticky-tack fouls on the other end of the court. Fouls that barely registered as contact were sending Liberty players to the free throw line while Fever players were getting mugged with no calls. The inconsistency wasn't just noticeable, it was intentional. The statistical evidence backs up what our eyes were telling us. The Fever attempted fewer free throws than they should have based on their style of play and the contact they absorbed. Meanwhile, their opponents were getting to the line on plays that wouldn't normally result in fouls. The math doesn't add up unless you factor in bias. This isn't the first time we've seen this pattern either. Throughout Clark's second professional season, there's been a disturbing trend of officiating that seems designed to neutralize her impact on games. Whether it's allowing defenders to play more physical with her than they're allowed to play with other stars, or ignoring obvious fouls when she's the victim, the pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. The most frustrating part is that this isn't just hurting Clark. It's hurting the entire WNBA. The league is experiencing unprecedented growth in viewership and fan engagement, largely because of Clark's presence and the excitement she brings to games. When referees actively work to diminish that excitement through biased officiating, they're damaging the product that's bringing new fans to women's basketball. Think about it from a business perspective. The WNBA has never had more eyes on their games. Television ratings are through the roof, attendance is up, and merchandise sales are breaking records. All of this growth is happening while one of their biggest stars is being systematically targeted by officiating that ranges from incompetent to malicious. The league's response to these concerns has been inadequate at best. Instead of addressing the obvious patterns of bias, they've issued generic statements about supporting their officials and maintaining the integrity of the game. But how can you maintain integrity when your officials are caught on camera literally turning their backs on players? Other coaches around the league have started noticing too. While they might not speak as directly as Stephanie White did, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates.